Yeah, but Sisanda, welcome to LetsDoHumans podcast.
Thank you.
Welcome. You finally made it to sunny Essex. I'm always welcoming everyone to sunny Essex as if like it's a different country or something exotic. But yeah, it's just part of
it's all right.
Outskirts of London.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here anyway.
Yeah, thank you for making the journey down. But before we start, can you tell us a bit about like Sisanda? Am I pronouncing the name right?
Yes, perfect.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I was scared there because I'm usually not great at pronouncing people's names. I'm always butchering it for some reason.
You didn't butcher it, thank God.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, I'm a life coach and transformational
amazing.
speaker. I specialize in confidence, relationship, and overall personal coaching for girls and women.
Yeah.
My mission is to help women unleash the unbreakable women in them, to empower them, support them, to refine themselves, create new beginnings, and live in the truth of who God has called them to be.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
So is there a history behind it though? Why women in particular and why empowerment? Like, because usually when people set out on a mission, there's usually something behind the mission.
Well, I'm a woman, so I can relate to every female struggle inside and out. And I just feel like I can add more to the conversation. I can't tell a man how to be a man because I'm not a man.
It's fantastic you actually said that. It's actually really good you said that. Because I've got an issue with people telling, especially people of different genders, telling each other how to be who they are. Do you know what I mean? It's good to identify when someone does something wrong. I think there's a difference between that. But then telling someone how to behave within their gender-specific group is very, very tricky area.
Yeah. And I'm actually learning that women have to become a bit more like men and men have to become a bit more like women. We kind of have to meet in the middle.
In what sense though?
Like, okay, I feel like women tend to be more emotionally intelligent than men.
Yeah.
And so that's why I feel like men could be more like women.
Oh, okay.
But then men tend to be more like they don't allow their emotions to get
more logical.
More logical. And then as women, we allow our emotions to like they run our lives basically.
Yeah.
So we could be a bit more logical.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But does that work? Like how would that work? How would that look like?
Okay, I think the best example I can give is probably relationships. I think with us girls, we catch feelings real quick.
Yeah.
We haven't even had time to really look at, investigate him, actually see what he's about, set our standards exactly. And then once you catch feelings, that's it. It doesn't matter if he's trash, if he has a wife, if he has kids. It's like, I've got feelings. I love him now. I can't leave him.
And
You're allowing, that's it. Full
Yeah.
stop, done. And then you're going to fight for something that's not even worth fighting.
Most definitely.
Whereas men, they kind of analyze you. They don't allow, they're like, okay, you're pretty. But let me see what you're about first. Let me be logical about this. Let me not get my emotions, my lust, I suppose, to like get ahead of me in a sense.
No, that's fantastic. I completely get that. So you're a YouTuber as well, by the way. Yeah?
Yes.
How long you been doing that for now?
Mate. I've been doing it on off for like since 2015.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think now I'm kind of more clearer on what message I want to spread. Now I'm just trying to figure out how to spread that message in every single video. So,
Now you got some great content on there as well, because I've been on your page even prior to you coming here today. I was just like scouring the page and trying to get a glimpse of who you are as an individual. And I can see you're doing variations of things like, i.e. motivational and encouragement side of things, but you're also very business minded as well. I realized that you recently set up a business, which is fantastic. Tell me about it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so my business is called Refined 8. This is where the life coaching comes in.
Name, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Let me tell you how that came about. So refining is the process of removing unwanted elements. So I want to empower women to remove their unwanted elements, low self-esteem, insecurities. Then refining brings about new beginnings. And in the Bible, the number 8 represents new beginnings. So Refined 8, that's how it came about.
That's such a sick meaning.
So that's why the mission is to empower women to refine themselves, create new beginnings, and live in the truth of who God has called them to be. Because I realized that I wasn't living in the truth of who God had called me to be. I was functioning from a lot of pain and brokenness and trauma, and that's not how God created me to live on this earth like. And I realized that I'm not the only one. So many other girls are not living in the truth of who God has called them to be, and living in the truth of who God says you are. Like that's it. Like you're winning in life when you can do that. So and then so I offer a 2-hour self-discovery session where we just talk about things like identity, purpose. Do you know who you are? Why you're on this earth? And we just touch base on everything that makes you you, spiritual, psychological, emotional. We cover all the bases, and it's just for self-awareness. If you just want to dig deeper, find out a little bit more about yourself, but you're not ready to really commit to a journey of transformation. But if you're ready to commit, I have a 12-week transformation program that can be
Is that like a group program you're running, or is it for
individual? One-to-one. I don't think I could do it as a group one, just because every person is so different.
That's very
so
true.
It's more kind of tailored to where you're at and where you're trying to be. So and then there's actually a charity side to it, Refined Date Foundation.
I wanted to touch base on that one. That's really fantastic. So it's in relations to paying for kids' school fees, isn't it?
Yes.
Back in Uganda.
In Zimbabwe.
I was in Zimbabwe as well.
So my auntie is a teacher in Zimbabwe, and when I was there over the Christmas, she was like, a lot of my kids are missing school because their parents can't afford to pay school fees. She asked me if I could contribute, and I was like, wait till I get my finances right, I'll chip in, when I can. But then when I came back to England, I realized how privileged I was. I thought, I can't just wait to be financially ready. And there kind of is no such thing, to be honest. You can always bless someone where you're at in life. You don't have to wait to be a particular level of rich. So I set up the charity, and we've actually paid school fees for 10 children so far in my auntie's school.
Well, you covered like their annual school fees, or is it like
we're paying it term per term?
Per term,
just in case one of them decides to leave that school and move to another school. So it's better to do it term to term.
How much is it per child per term?
£5.
Oh, okay.
And £5.
Wow,
McDonald's meal. It's crazy. And to think there's people that can't even afford it.
I'll definitely sponsor a term or two then. Definitely.
Thank you.
No, I mean, if you got the link to that as well, I'm going to put that out there and most definitely promote that. That's actually brilliant. Because I remember, growing up at home and stuff. Well, not at home is in Ghana, but like when I used to live with my parents, they were always talking about school fees. There's always like a relative who's struggling with school fees. And I was always under the assumption that these school fees are like some astronomical prices and stuff. Like all my days, they're paying for someone's school fees. It's only when I grew up that I noticed that the school fees that people are really struggling with back home isn't as bad as you would think it is. It's like sometimes like £15 a term or £10 a term. So every little bit of help. And I know the importance of education because it's something I want to get into eventually one day down the line in Africa. I've got an idea about education and how it can be used to benefit society, and I'm still trying to figure out in my own head before I implement it. So it's something intriguing. I'm definitely working on. I mean, I can give you a little idea behind it. So I think for society to thrive, for their society to thrive, is good doing small deeds. Like it's good having like smaller organizational charities and things, and everyone's doing their own but I think it's too disjointed. So I think for a society to really be uplifted, you need to utilize the great minds within that society. If that makes sense.
That makes
sense. We need to harness all the great minds within a particular society. So for instance, if I want to impact Ghana, I think we need to figure out who are the great minds within Ghana, because there's great talents out there, but they might not necessarily have the skill sets. There's people with like fantastic IQs, great ideas, but they're not exposed to the opportunities in order for them to develop their true self or their skill set. So I'm thinking in the sense of figuring out who these kids are at a very young age, harnessing their skills and developing it. So maybe putting them in like an institution. Do you know what I mean? In some sense, I'm just throwing ideas out there because at the moment I'm brainstorming. Because what then happens is if you're able to utilize those great minds, they are the individuals that then create the structures and the systems to then uplift everyone else. Do you see what I mean? But that's if you're able to harness and keep them there.
Exactly.
Because if you look at Western society, most of like people in power or people that went to particular institutions, all of the best schools, all of the best universities, all of the great minds came out of the best universities, whether they dropped out or not. Like if you look at Bill Gates, they will say, oh, they dropped out of this university, but they dropped out of the best universities. They didn't drop out of the local university. People always tell these stories, he dropped out of university and now he's a billionaire. He didn't drop out of any university. He dropped out of university that harnessed his skill sets. And that's why he was able to drop out, because his mind was beyond where he was. So that's an idea that I have, but I'm still trying to understand it in my own head. So education is definitely key.
I really like that idea. I hope it comes to fruition, because I love like catching people while they're still young.
Definitely.
That's what I love as well.
Definitely.
Young people, that's my passion. Because I've concluded that if I can get to you while you're still young, then I can ensure that the rest of your 50 plus years left on earth, they're solid. You have a good foundation. So I love starting when they're still young. They're the future leaders at the end of the day.
No, that's a fantastic charity. How is it managed, if you don't mind me asking? Because obviously, if I want to try to get people involved in it, I want them to understand how the whole organization runs.
So I've just starting out, so now I'm still trying to figure it out. But for now, I have my auntie who is the trustee in terms of education, and then people donate via the website or however else they want to donate. And then I just send the money to my auntie via Western Union, and then she sends me the receipts and stuff, and then we get pictures and videos with the children and them saying thank you. And then I'm planning to go to Zimbabwe in August 2020, so then that'll be my opportunity to meet everyone and their family and get to probably say hi, how's it going? You know, we're happy to have been blessing you, and just check in.
How are the kids sourced out though? How are the children sourced out?
My auntie literally just went around every
teacher, isn't it?
Yeah, she's a teacher
so
at the school. So she literally went around every classroom, like who hasn't paid school fees, who is due for school fees, who can't come because they can't afford, and then just gave me a list of names, and that was that.
Oh, amazing. No, I'm definitely gonna go on the link of the website and
thank you.
Make my donation and do my bit as much as possible. I was watching one of your videos, and you made an interesting statement which I actually like. You said it's okay not to be okay, but there's a problem with you. What was the full statement?
Yeah, I think I said it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay at rock bottom.
At rock bottom.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a bit about that statement?
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, we're human beings. Life is gonna come at you, or you're gonna mess up your own life.
Yeah.
So it's okay to not be okay. It's natural to not be okay. It's normal. But what's not okay is to stay there. Like, okay, somebody hurt you or you hurt yourself. Should you now just stay at the bottom and cry and self-pity your way through life? And then it affects your family. If you have children, that's even worse, because then you're sending that wound, that bleed onto your children. Then they have to deal with it. And if they don't deal with it, then it continues generation after generation. And I find that like in my case, where I was sexually abused by my dad, that was wrong what he did, and I was lost for a long time. But like I think Will Smith said, it's your responsibility to heal. It's not your fault that they hurt you, but it's your responsibility to heal. If I continued looking at the way my dad was living his life, man was living his best life. But here I was still stuck at rock bottom, and at some point I just had to make that decision that, you know what, I was put on this earth for so much more. Surely there must be more to life than this. And I'm happy that I made that decision. Otherwise, I actually would not even be on this podcast. And a lot of us, we spend years, decades at rock bottom and thinking that there's no way out, or not having enough strength, or not even trying actually to get out of rock bottom. And you just stay there and you think, well, this is life. When the truth is, it kind of turns into the life that you choose. It's not your fault, maybe, that somebody got you there, but then if you stay there, you're choosing that life. Whereas you have the option and the power to choose a different and more empowering lifestyle.
But I mean, obviously, I want to touch back on what you just said. How does one come out of such a horrific such a horrific experience or ordeal? Like, how do you lift yourself up from that ordeal that you went through yourself personally?
Yeah, it took time. I didn't tell anyone. Like, I was 11, 12 when my dad was abusing me, and I didn't tell anyone until I was 14.
Oh, wow.
So it's just, for me, it was like, how do you even accept that your own dad is doing that to you? I'm 12 years old. I wasn't even fully comprehending what he was doing to me and how much he was damaging me. So how do you even come to terms that you're being abused and it's by your own dad? But then when I was 14, like, I ran away from it. It's not happening. I repressed the memories. I can't face this. When I was 14, the memories refused to be repressed. They were like, nah.
I think you're probably growing up and you're understanding it a bit more now, so it's becoming a bit more traumatic.
Yeah, exactly. It got to a point where I hated being alone, because then every time I'm alone, I have to face the thoughts in my head. I used to be so happy when my friends would knock for me to go to school together, because it's like, yes, I don't have to be by myself. But I realized that this thing is going to break me from the inside out, because I wasn't suicidal, but I had moments where I thought that surely death must is better than this, because with death comes peace, right? I don't have to feel these emotions. And there was one time
it's assumption of peace for you, but then it's like it's horrific for everyone else. That's the thing. That's why death is never really the option.
Exactly. I think somebody said it's just pain passed on to different bodies.
And it's I mean, you're passing the pain on. It's like one person passing the pain on to hundreds, possibly thousands of people. You don't know how many people like you or are impacted by you, or like you've come across and they've gained something from you. So.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think I reached my own version of rock bottom where I was like, I'm just gonna die if I don't deal with this. I'm breaking slowly. And I think for me, I've concluded that for somebody to really change, one of two things have to happen. One, you have to really despise with everything that you are, despise where you're at in life. Hate it so much so that you can't stand being there. You do whatever it takes to push out of it. And that's the stage I had reached. I hated being where I was, so I pushed out. Or you have to really love where you want to be. You have to be really passionate. Visualize it all day, every day. Desire. That's it, burning desire. Then that can be what encourages you to push out of where you are. So for me, that's where I was at.
Well, you had a burning desire to...
No, sorry, I hated where I was.
You hated where you was,
yeah. So much so I okay, let me tell... I told my 14-year-old friend, I was like, okay, let me tell someone now.
Yeah, and was he prosecuted for that, if you don't mind me asking?
Pardon?
Was he prosecuted for...
No, so I actually didn't want to take him to the police in the beginning because... It's mad, like, the way he groomed me, you feel bad for taking him to the police.
That's the horrific part of it.
Yeah. And I was like, how do you send your own dad to prison? Because I was so sure that he's going to go to prison. So how? Then I had like 2 younger sisters then. And I was like, I'm going to leave them without a father. But not really realizing that even if he was in their life, what kind of a father would he be anyway? Yeah. But anyways, we decided to report it to the police in the end. The British police said we have to report it to the Hungarian police because it happened when I lived in Hungary. At the time. I was living with him and my then stepmom. So the Hungarian police came back to the British police, who then reported back to me saying they decided to do nothing.
Wow.
Not going to question nothing. Not even a phone call. Never questioned me. And they never gave a reason why. They were just like, we don't want to open a case. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, rape for me is such a touchy subject because one, like I'm not a woman, and the thing is, it's only now that I'm growing up that I'm starting to understand the differences in how we see the world. Because obviously I've always been a person that I leave it to the judicial system, but then you got to understand the judicial system is broken as well, as in your example just proved. And then as I'm studying like human behaviors and society in general and how we see stuff, I see that a woman's experience is different because what you gotta understand, men, we're bigger, we're larger creatures. So whenever, like for instance, as we're always in a constant stage of it's like we're animals in the wild, and there's always like a predator somewhere bigger and better than us. Do you know what I mean? Stronger. Like we're always in a state of trauma, for instance, because it's like there's buildings that are bigger than us. So as human beings, we're scared. So I'm trying to picture in my head is how does a woman navigate through this world knowing that there's all these things that are bigger and potentially stronger than them, making them more vulnerable. So I'm becoming more. What is it? Is it? I don't know if empathetic is the word to use, but I'm becoming more understanding of how traumatic it is for a woman to be in a state of vulnerability when it's in relations to a man. Yeah. And it's crazy that there's still a system that doesn't acknowledge fully that they need to go through like a process in order to vet which allegation is right and which one is wrong, and just to completely dismiss it is crazy to me. And I just don't get it.
First of all, I appreciate you studying about us women.
Yeah, I think a lot of it to do with the podcast as well. Yeah. Like now that I'm trying to because the podcast serves as an education system to me. So like I use this to educate myself. Because I'm slightly dyslexic, and I'm not great at consuming content in a particular type of way, but this works for me. So the more I start doing this, then the more I have to start studying outside as well. Because anytime I have a guest on, a new subject gets brought up, and I have to go and revert back into my books or my videos to try and understand it further. So it's becoming like an engagement process, which I'm loving. So I'm starting to get stuff a bit more now that I probably before would have just been like, oh, why didn't you just report it and get him arrested? Why didn't you just punch him up? Why didn't you just grab a knife? And like, do you see what I mean? Like, why didn't you just defend yourself? But I get it now, because even as a guy, if like one of my friends gave a great example the other day. He goes, like, because he was talking about females and then feeling vulnerable around men, and he was like, okay, it's like right now, let's say you go to like a prison and everyone there is twice your size, and like you're in there for life. How would you feel as a dude even in that environment? He goes, that's how some women are navigating this world. Because I'll be thinking, right, every dude in here might be trying to rape me. Like I'll be traumatized because we're all in here for life. Everyone might be trying to get some.
Yeah.
So is that trauma, and the thing is, I have a vivid imagination. So I started thinking about it. I was like, whoa, that's traumatic. But that's some people's real life experience. Even though not all men, I don't think all men are rapists. I don't think all men are bad. I just think there's bad people everywhere. But I get how traumatic environments can be.
I love the example your friend gave. I'm gonna steal that one.
It freaked me out. It actually freaked me out because I started thinking about it and I was like, ooh, yeah, I get what you mean. I get it.
I don't know how we survive, to be honest, in a man's world. I think that's why it's important, actually, feminism, to be inclusive with men. I know there's this new age feminism where it's like, women, we do what we want.
It's a bit
we
weird.
Don't need no
New
man.
age feminism is sabotaging.
It doesn't work. We literally live this earth together. So if we're gonna make a change, it needs to be together.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, we're getting there slowly but surely.
Do you think we're getting there, or are we like creating a greater divide? Because to me, social media is a great indicator of where we are as a society. Like, regardless of what people say, oh, social media. No, it's an indicator of where we are in society. Like there was a study that like women are starting to look better nowadays because they're influenced by social media. So when they step out of the house, they need to make sure, like back in the day, women would just step out of the house, maybe go to the corner shop, but now, or go to a friend's house. But now you're thinking, wait, she might want to take a selfie. She might want to put me on a Snapchat. So let me make sure that I go there looking good. Do you see what I mean? And guys are becoming like insecure about their pockets now. They're becoming insecure about their masculinity. So we're banging out gym. We're drinking Pro Shake for breakfast, lunch and dinner. And we're trying to do anything and everything to get money. So it's having an effect on us. And if you look at social media and men and women's behaviors towards each other, it to me, I don't know if we're coming together or we're breaking apart. Do you know what I
think maybe like when we talk about things like career, then I think women, like, we're getting better in that sense. But in terms of relationships and social media, like you just said, it's a sticky one still.
It's very sticky.
Because I think what I've come to realize is that, like, we are actually, like, men do stuff for women to be attractive to women. Women do stuff to be attractive to men.
Oh, you're 100%.
So it's like, and then social media doesn't help. But then at the same time, I don't actually think that social media is the problem. At the end of the day, so it's a society, it's a people that manage social media. So we're allowing people to set standards, and then we are following those standards when you could easily be like, nah. Like, even for me, say, like, with makeup, it's like, if you're going out, it has to be makeup. You have to wear it. You have to look good. You're thinking, what are your fellow girlfriends gonna wear? Everything, you gotta be sexy and everything. But I'm not that much into makeup, so sometimes I can't be bothered. So I'll just go with a plain face, or I'll just do like minimum. But when you get there, it's a bit like, oh my gosh,
everyone's just all done up.
Exactly. And then you see the men's as well, like you're saying, gym and everything. But I'm just like, it's my personal choice to set standard for myself and follow that. Social media is there. It can influence me one way or the other, but ultimately we have the power to say, nah, yes, maybe.
I mean, the power is there, but then the influence is very strong. Like, the influence is very, very strong.
That's why I'm strong on identity. Like, for me, identity is everything. People that get lost in the source, they have no strong sense of identity. Then they don't know who they are, or they don't know who they belong to. A lot of people, like, you belong to sex, to money, to social media, to your relationships, to whatever profession you're in, especially if it's a position of leadership.
Or to your postcode, if we're talking about what's currently happening with our young kids.
Exactly. That's what defines them. But because I've made a decision that social media doesn't define me, so it doesn't really influence me that much. I can go off Instagram and not panic. I can get 5 likes and not panic because I'm like, well, I think I look cute, mate. If so you don't like that picture, then that's not my business.
Where does that strength come from? Because I mean, I'm similar to you. Like, I'm not really too far. Like, right now, I'm on a no shave, no haircut ban. Like, I'm not getting a haircut till I go to Ghana in December. So I've got months now. I'm going to continue going another 2 months. But to me personally, I think that's attributed to the home that I come from. Like, I come from a very strong home where, like, I've been given the blueprint, I've been given the backing and the strength and the encouragement to be me without, like, necessarily, do you know what I mean, being too heavily influenced by others. So where does yours come from, or how do you think other people can discover their own inner strength, people that don't have it?
Yeah, so for me, mine is kind of all over the place. Just because, like, when I was growing up, I had that strong blueprint like you. But then when my dad abused me, then it just kind of threw everything out.
Yeah.
So then I kind of really had to relearn from like zero, or even not even zero, from like -20. Like, who the heck am I? What do I stand for? What do I even like?
Yeah.
Like, my trauma and my pain became my identity. Like, literally, my name was Sisanda Pain CJ.
Wow. Yeah.
Sisanda hate CJ, because I had so much hate within me. So then I really had to, first of all, come to terms with what had happened and be willing to be alone and sit with my pain. Talk it out, write it out, exercise it out, work it out, whatever. But it was that you have to sit with your pain. Can't run away from it anymore. And then that allowed me to see, like, oh, this is what I believe about myself. This is what is subconsciously leading me to live the life that I live, such as choosing the guys that were not good for me and fighting for them even when they're like, I don't want you anymore, and I'm like, no, you have to stay. But and then, you know, having those, my subconscious belief was I'm unworthy and I'm undeserving. So now I would attract guys that would treat me like that. So then get into a place where I could really explore these subconscious beliefs, bring them to their conscious, and realize that, okay, they come from the trauma that came from the abuse. Now, who am I going to allow to define me? I come from a Christian family. So, of course, God has been hounded into my mind, especially my aunt and my uncle who took me in after I came out with the story of abuse. They're God. And what I love, what they did was that they gave me the power. Like, they would say, do you want us to report to the police? And then if I say no, they'll respect it. Or maybe if my dad would text me.
That's a very strong point, actually. That support system that enables you to, because
Exactly.
I know, coming from an African house, from African culture, like, some people would have been like, oh no, it's your dad, you can't report him. But that's fantastic what your auntie and uncle did, and more people should do so, because I think the idea that someone comes up, let's say for instance, I mean, you came out and with a statement to your auntie and uncle, they could have easily just dismissed that, but they wanted to take it through the due process, which it should be in every case. I think there's a due process. Everyone's innocent until proven guilty, but it should go through that process if an accusation comes to fruition, which I think is ideal, and that's how the process should be like.
Yeah, should be. But yeah, so they helped to give me my power back by just asking. If my dad would call, do you want to pick up? No, then don't pick up. Or, you know what, this is what we think you should do, but ultimately it's up to you. So slowly through those kind of discussions, I started realizing, like, oh, I'm an individual, I can speak my mind, and it is respected. So that's kind of what also started helping me, like, claim my power. And then ultimately it was God. Like, I went through my healing journey with God, and I said, okay, I realized that God is the only thing that would never hurt me. He will never disappoint me. He will never wake up one day and say, Sisanda, I don't love you anymore, like what my dad did. He will never say, I don't want you anymore, like what my dad did. His word was, is, and will always be. So if he says I'm beautiful and I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, that is truth forevermore, period. If he says that, you know, I'm his daughter, I'm a royal child, that I can do all things through him, that I am strong and all of these things, then that's it, period. So then I started basing my identity in him. I went to the Bible, find out, what does God say about me? And then slowly but surely started embodying that and unlearning what abuse and trauma had taught me, what society had taught me about being a dark-skinned girl, and actually realizing that he's my creator, so I'm gonna follow him. And that's it. Everything else, if you don't match what my creator says, then essentially your opinion is invalid. Your comment, I don't care for it, and I'm not gonna allow it to affect me. And then in terms of how others can go about, self-awareness is everything. Self-awareness, a lot of us are not self-aware. We don't know what's running us.
The thing about, I think the reason why is because it comes with a strong element of honesty, and we struggle with honesty, because self-awareness is like, okay, why am I like this? Then you play it back. Okay, then why this? Then you continuously play it back until you're naked, and then it reaches a point where, like, oh wow, like sometimes you can realize that maybe you're a piece of trash. Do you know what I mean? It can get that deep, and no one really wants to think or find out that they might be a problem, or someone that they don't want to expose is a problem that they need to get rid of. So that's the dangers with self-awareness.
I know it's dangerous, but it's a must.
Definitely,
like for me, I think one of the recent times I lied to myself. Like I planned on fasting on a Tuesday, so Monday night I slept super late. Tuesday I woke up really tired, and then fasting when you're tired, it just was not working. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a bad day to fast. And I had to be like, hang on, mate. Why am I blaming Tuesday for being a bad day to fast? I'm the problem. I slept late, therefore I woke up super tired. Now I'm trying to fast, being super tired. Now my mind is just all over the place. And just little things like that, like shifting the blame onto something else that wasn't me, means that I'm not required to change. It's Tuesday, that's a bad day to fast, so I never have to look at my own behavior. But I think, like, when I coach people, what I encourage them to do, this is one of my favorite things, and I did this myself when I was going through my healing journey. I challenge them to go out on a date by themselves. For me, I went to Nando's. It was like 6 p.m. on a Saturday. It was full of people. And I was like, table for one, please. I was so scared, but I knew, like, I have to do it. And I sat there on that table asking myself questions that I would ask someone I'm trying to get to know. Someone that took me out on a date. And to my surprise, I didn't actually know the answers to those questions. So I think that's one way you can do it, spending time by yourself, with yourself, no distractions. Some people are like, oh yeah, I spend time with myself, but then they're on their phone. So it's like, that's not, I'm like, no, the only thing you're allowed to have is a pen and a paper. And either you allow your thoughts to flow, because sometimes you don't even pay attention to what we're thinking. You have to think about what you're thinking, and that in itself sometimes requires a lot of focus. So if you allow your thoughts to flow, then jot down, and you can find out stuff that you were not aware of. Or you can go counseling or get a life coach, because then they're trained in asking you the right questions that will help you to really think deeper than you normally would.
And therapy is a great thing that works as well, because I done therapy session, and it was very revealing. Like there was things that I knew, but I didn't understand why, the whys. It's like, oh, I just know it. This is just the way I am. Oh, this is just the way I think, but I didn't understand why I thought like that. It was like a process of things that had happened in my life that made me think like that. But can I ask you, so what does forgiveness mean to you, and like how is that associated in line with what happened to you? Like is there you get what I'm trying to ask you?
I get you.
Because there's a reason why I'm asking, because I've discovered that the best way for me to always be at peace with myself is just to I just forgive everyone. Like I don't stay angry for long. Like I really struggle with staying angry for long. Sometimes I want to be angry at someone because I'm thinking, I want to show them. But like, if you just bust a little joke, I'll probably start laughing, even though you've done something really bad to me. Like I just don't deal with anger really well. So and in my head, every time someone does something, I forgive them immediately in my head. But then and I let it go, because I feel more at peace once I do that. And I don't want to go to sleep like I don't want to lay in my bed not being able to go to sleep off of the back of someone else who's possibly snoring right now, having the most wonderful dream ever. Do you see what I mean? And that's the way I think of it in my head. I'm thinking, wait, hold on, this person's probably in the house just like having a whale of a time, and I'm here dying off of the fruits of their labor.
Exactly. Like, it's always you that's gonna suffer.
In terms of like what your dad done to you, did you forgive him, or is there a case where
I forgave him, which was the most painful decision I've ever had to make, the most excruciating journey I've ever had to go through. I was 16 years old when I was in church one particular Sunday. My pastor was like, if you want to receive the Holy Spirit, come to the front. I went, he asks me, have you forgiven? And I said no. And he's like, you can't really receive the Holy Spirit unless if you're forgiven. You need to make the decision to forgive, pray regularly that God give me the strength to forgive, and then eventually your emotions will catch up with your decision. I left church so angry that day. I battled it out with God. I was like, God, you are dumb.
How can you do this
Let
to me?
me be God, right? Because I can be a better God than you. Because there's no way on this earth I would ever ask a victim to forgive their abuser, especially when the abuser doesn't even acknowledge that they did anything wrong. My dad said I was hallucinating, I was lying, it never happened.
And that's one thing I was going to touch on. Regardless of whether you forgive them, I still think there's always a process that needs to take place. And I don't think you should let that process die until it's gone through the right channels.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree completely.
Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of the case, so I can only speak from a vague point. But I always feel that there's a process that should be taken. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, my personal process, if like if family members come to me, I'll go and punch someone up. I'll go and hurt someone up. I'll take the law into my own hands if the law was to not, and if I knew that there was a case for me to do so. So I definitely think there's a process that should be taken, and that shouldn't be taken lightly, because at the moment, if it hasn't been set in stone and the person hasn't been prosecuted, then it's just your word. Do you see what I mean? And that's the dangers of such cases. Yeah,
exactly. No, everything in its time and season.
Definitely.
But yeah, at that time, I was just angry, and I hated my dad. If he was on fire and I was the only person that could save him, I'm booking first class VIP ticket to watch him burn and die, like peacefully and happily watch him die, because that's how much I hated him. Now you want me to forgive him? He hasn't even said sorry, mate. And then God, firstly, I haven't killed him with my own bare hands. So then, because you say vengeance is yours, you had the opportunity to avenge him by sending him to prison. You haven't. And then 2, you're blessing him with more children. I'm his firstborn child, and there's 5 other girls that come after me. At the time there was 2. So I'm like, God, you're blessing him with more girls? What are you doing? This does not make sense. Let me be God. I can actually be a better God than you. I swore him, I cursed him out. I was like, no. No. But then my pain was only getting worse and worse, my bitterness, my anger. I realized that through all this battle with God, it wasn't getting any better. Whatever I was trying was just not working. So one day I said, okay, fine, God, I will budge. Between me and you, it's going to have to be me that has to budge, right? So, okay, fine, I'll budge. I choose to forgive my dad for sexually abusing and raping me. Every time I say that sentence, I feel it, because it was painful to even say that, to say those words out loud. Those are the most painful words I've ever had to say out loud. So I was 16 and I said, God, I choose to forgive him. And then almost every day I would pray, God, help me to forgive my dad for touching me down there. Help me to forgive my dad for kissing me. I named each and every single act that he ever did to me. So I needed to make sure that I'd forgiven him for every single one of them. Sometimes I'd be walking to college and I'm praying out loud. I don't even care that people are looking at me, because I understood that there's power in my words. And this is the kind of prayer that I needed to say out loud. So look at me crazy. I don't care. I'm going to pray and I'm going to declare that I have forgiven him for this in Jesus' name. And then it was 3 to 4 months of that consistent prayer that I realized, hang on, the pain is less. I actually feel peace. God, is that the peace that you talk about? That according to human standards, when I'm falling apart, you actually give me peace that will cause me to not fall apart. And I realized that I've forgiven him when I realized that I could live on the same earth as him. Before, I hated it that we were sharing the same planet. But then now it's like...
you wanted to take yourself out instead
now I wanted to take him out.
Okay, you wanted to take him out.
He needs to go. But at that time, I was like, okay, we can share the same planet. That's not so bad. That's okay. Just don't be close to me. And if he was burning... and there was the only person that could save him. I mean, I would take my time to save him. I might probably go to the restaurant to eat. I might hang out with my friends. But in my mind, I'm on my way to save him.
Wow, that's extremely commendable.
It's only God.
It's dangerously commendable. It's scary how at peace you are to be able to even say that.
It's only God. This is not something I could never have done without God. In my own strength, it's impossible. How the heck do you forgive somebody that raped you at 12 years old? But it's only God. That's why that consistent prayer and surrendering it to God was so important. And so, then funny enough, actually, 3 to 4 months later, my pastor said the same thing. If you want to receive the Holy Spirit, come to the front. I went, he asked, have you forgiven? I said, yes. And then when I said it in front of him and God, that time I really knew, it's real and true. That's how I came to forgive him. That was just the beginning. Forgiveness is not weakness.
No, definitely not.
My dad was still enjoying his life. I was in pain. All I knew was pain. It was anger. It was bitterness. But when I forgave him, it released all of that. It paved path for me to start healing, because that's when I actually started working on myself. Forgiveness releases. It created space within my body and my soul to feel other emotions like love and peace and joy. And I can fully say, I know what it is to love and be loved. I know what peace is. I know what it is to look back and be so unattached to the pain of what happened to you and just feel nothing but peace. That never would have happened if I hadn't forgiven him.
Yeah, that's amazing. So in telling your story, how did, when you first came out with your story, like especially on social media, because I know you told the story on your YouTube channel. That was really hard for me to watch because you got really emotional about it, and I could feel it because I'd spoken to you, and I think I watched it after we had our phone conversation. Okay. So I could really definitely feel the pain in your voice, and I've really struggled with that video. But when it comes to being vulnerable on YouTube or on the socials and stuff, how do you cope with that? And also, what are some of the like backstories that you get at the back of that, like in terms of like encouragement to others that potentially might have been in the same situation as you?
Yeah, so for me, transparency is my personal gospel, because I struggled so much because people were not transparent about what they were doing. I what they were going through, sorry. I thought I was alone. Even when I told my family, none of them had really been in my position, so they didn't understand. It wasn't until I went to uni that I met other girls that were like, me too. And I was like, oh my gosh, you understand. So we were able to connect. And so to me, that's why it's important to be transparent, which is why I don't mind being transparent. I'm happy to be transparent on social media. And now I'm getting more people pop up to me just because I'm doing a lot more speaking engagements now. So I share my story anywhere and everywhere I'm accepted. So I'm getting like DMs from like young girls especially that are coming to me saying, this happened to me, I don't know how to deal with it. And they're talking about self-harm, suicide, depression. And then the people in their lives either have no clue, or if they have a clue, they have no idea how to help them. They're just doing nothing, basically. So as much as I'm passionate about young people, I'm starting to realize that actually I should also be talking to the adults. Because when a young person comes out and says, we're encouraging people to speak up a lot, but then when they speak up, adults don't know what to do. So now I'm starting to kind of have that conversation with different adults. And before, I was fine being transparent, but now with speaking engagements, more people are coming up to me. I never thought I would question my calling. Before I was like, yeah, I know God called me to do this. I can do it. It's fine. But then now when people are offloading onto you and they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, I have to be the one to believe on their behalf, to hold that space for them that you will be fine. When they're crying, when they're breaking down, when they're having panic attacks, all of that, it's like I have to stand strong.
Yeah, you're the example of
exactly,
what could be,
exactly. And it's like I can't let them down because they come to me because they know I understand because I've been there. So if I let them down, all hell will break loose. So there's that fear as well, like I can't let these people down. So for me, it's just really important that I stay connected to God. That's the only way I can get through this. I just need to consistently be in connection, in intimacy, and in relationship with God. Because then, one, He gives me the wisdom to know what to say, how to say what I need to say. And then two, He's the one I'll draw strength from. But yeah, it's been a bit of just lately, it's been a bit like really emotional. I actually want to go back into therapy so that I can also find a way of channeling my emotions.
Yeah, so you should, because obviously you're taking on a lot of energy right now at the moment.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're exerting a lot and you're taking on a lot as well. You mentioned the Me Too. So there was a problem I had with hashtags sometimes. Like I think hashtags can be good, they can be funny, they can be serious, they can be everything, but sometimes it kind of dilutes an issue. So like you're engaging with people directly, you're telling your story, you're being super transparent about it, you're being very detailed about it as well. So even when you're speaking to me, it's impactful. I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? At every single moment where you're speaking, and I go completely quiet because I'm actually taking it in. But what happened with the Me Too process, it reached a point where even on a personal level, I don't even like saying this, but it reached the point where I stopped taking the hashtag serious because it just became a thing. Like even people joke about, oh, whoa, Me Too. Like, do you see what I mean?
Yeah. And
sometimes, like when it comes to certain issues, I think there's ways that as a society we should figure out how to tackle them. Like there should be. I don't know. I'm not a lawmaker, but there should be a set standard of how like rape allegations are dealt with. Like there really should be. Like the moment someone comes into a police station and says, oh, that man raped me, like there should be a set standard. Like, okay, this is how we deal with it. It's an emergency. We're gonna go through step A, B, C, and D until we figure out what's happening here. But then obviously it's very difficult because not everyone likes to come out because there's fear, there's stigma around, which maybe the Me Too movement helped remove. But at the same time, the hashtag, it to me didn't have the impact that I wanted the movement to have. with speaking to you now, it's had more of an impact on me than
Yeah.
a massive whole global
Yeah.
hashtag did.
I think, well, like you said, it's a hashtag, and there's only so much you can say on Twitter. Like, there's only so much you can type that can actually get an impact. And I probably want to say maybe it didn't impact you as much just because maybe you haven't been through it. Whereas for me, when I was reading all the stories, hashtag Me Too, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I haven't personally met anyone that's been abused by their dad. It's always been like somebody else. So on Twitter, when I saw somebody write it was my dad, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not alone, and it's not just my dad, but you know, other people as well. And for me, like, me doing like speaking engagements and being open on YouTube and social media, that's my way of saying me too. Because sometimes, like you said, people don't always know how to reach out, what to do, where to go, who to speak to. So that's why I'm like, I share my story to say you're not alone, and then when I am transparent from the get-go, then they're like, okay, I can come to you, I can talk to you. But it's a shame that it's kind of been stigmatized in terms of what you were talking about, law. This might sound a bit controversial, but I kind of personally don't care about the law, just because in my own case, it hasn't been effective. And so, like, actually, rape is the one crime that is the least convicted out of the hundreds, thousands of, like, rape.
Why is that, though? What's the stats on that? Like,
it's 2.3% get convicted out of hundreds of thousands of reports.
Is that because the victim... I want to understand why that is, though. Is it like... Is it a broken down judicial system? Is it that the victim struggles to push it forward? I'm really trying to get, like,
I think
why...
it's everything. I think people within the justice system, one, don't even understand how trauma works. Like, I can say it happened to me, then the next day I can say it didn't happen to me. Just, it's not because I'm lying, but it's because you're trying to process trauma. Like, there was even one time when my own auntie sat me down. She was kind of like,
are you sure?
Did something happen between you and your dad? And I said no, because I wasn't ready to speak up. I was like, nope. And then the following year, I was like, actually, auntie, I need to sit you down. Something happened. And so to somebody, you can say, like, why should I believe you? You lied before, you said nothing happened. But people don't, exactly. But people don't understand that for you to even speak up, like, that's crazy. I first opened up to my best friend, and then I actually don't remember this day. But that just proves how traumatic it was for me. Because, you know, when something traumatic happens, your brain forgets it for you so that you're able to function in your daily life. And so I've concluded that's probably the most traumatic moment of my life, because I don't remember telling my best friend. She said, you came to my house after a jog, you were breaking down crying, and you just blurted it out like you've been waiting to say it for centuries. I cannot even remember. I don't know. I have no idea. So that just to say, like, coming out, saying this happened to me, it's huge. And so I think people in the system don't have enough understanding, enough education on how trauma can affect you. And especially when you're a child as well, there's a lot of grooming that happens. If you're told, like, oh, you know, we're just playing. And then now you're taking that person to court, then it's like, wait, but were we playing? But were we not? And then there's a lot of confusion and all of that. And then also evidence. There's the issue of evidence, like courts needs evidence.
Especially when there's a time lapse as well.
Exactly, but then, like, it's not always so, you know. I think for me, at least, I wish that they would question me, at least. Like, don't just say we're not going to do anything. At least open up a case, at least question, because the unfortunate thing is my dad did go on to touch another kid. So I don't even know how many kids it's touched to this day.
Did they take it to court?
No, it was just... Luckily, that one didn't go as far as mine did, but nothing happened there. So it's like you can't just shut it down because there's no evidence.
And I think something that does people that have genuinely been through that disservice as well is people that use it as a false rape case as well. So there's those cases, and those go against you as well, because if someone has cried rape and they haven't genuinely been raped, and then they get found out as lying, the next time you go into that court, for instance, that judge might just be thinking, oh, here we go, here's another woman crying out rape. So that does the disservice as well, because you get those cases and they are out there.
But it's not as much that point. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with that point, just because most cases that get reported, they're true. It's probably like 1% that somebody's crying wolf, or somebody just wants to pay back the guy that broke their heart or something. But if 99% is true, so how are we like not looking at the 99% for the sake of that 1%?
Yeah. It's a tricky one statistically because I don't get it. It's something I need to look into. I just don't get why so many cases. I want to know who drops the case. Like, is it the victim? Is it the judicial system? Like, what is happening there? Because it's a serious thing, and I mean, because as in your case, it's something that's affected your life for however long now, and it's still having an impact on your life. Was that what you were speaking about recently in Croydon? Because I know you went to a conference in Croydon. How was that, and what was the talk about? What was the general consensus?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, now when I do speaking engagements, I'm just sharing my story because I started speaking early this year. So for now, it's just my story, and then in the future, I'll branch out to other ones, to other talks. But for now, this is my signature talk, if I can say so. So yeah, it was good. I think the first time I shared my story was in church. It was celebrating my 21st birthday last year, actually, when I shared my full testimony. And I was like, oh my gosh, people are going to break down. It's going to be crazy. But actually, my auntie pointed out to me that, whenever you share your story, it's never from a place of pity. It's never from a place of brokenness. You actually share it in an empowering way.
Yeah, definitely.
Such that it's like, thank God, honestly. I was like, what? No way. So yeah, for me, it was just nice, like a great confirmation that actually, you really have been healed and set free. It really comes across in the way you deliver your message. So usually the consensus is I get loads of hugs after every talk. People are just like, can I hug you? But I'm never really like breaking down, crying. People are just like, wow, you're strong. We appreciate what you're doing. Keep going. We'll pray for you. All of that.
Oh, wow. It's amazing. I think you were talking recently about like being... what was it? I don't know what the statement was. It was about being the right woman.
Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, so you're making a statement about like women wanting the particular type of man, and like asking the question whether they are the right woman to acquire such a man.
Yeah.
Like what is happening within the dating realm between men and women right now that made you make that statement?
Do you know what?
I'm gradually just changing the subject now because it was a heavy one. I'm just trying to take a breather from.
That's fine. It's cool. I got you. So I think a lot of women might not like me for this, but women are part of the problem, a big part of the problem. I realized that I screamed men are trash for so long, not realizing that I was part of the problem. I was choosing the trash men. And so I realized that women, we ask so much of men, but we're not ready to even level up to get that men that could like give that to us. For example, like I used to scream like, oh, I want somebody like who understands what love is, but I didn't even understand what love is. I didn't even know how to love. So then how can I ask for what I cannot even give to myself? And I just think that before, essentially relationships are a mirror of you. So you attract what you believe you deserve. And if you want to attract the best, then you need to be the best. I love what Pastor Michael Todd said. I don't know if you've heard of him. It's like this preacher from USA, and he said that a lot of relationship problems, they're a singleness problem because you didn't deal with you when you were single. What you bring to the table, in relation. Let me rephrase that. When you're single and you are insecure, you don't know how to manage your money. That's what you bring to the relationship. So now you have all these problems in your relationship because you didn't deal with it when you're single. So a lot of the things that we cry out that, oh, it's relationships, men are trash. Nah, it's also you. You didn't do your due diligence. Because also if you had done your due diligence, you would have known to not choose the man that you chose. So now I don't really scream men are trash as much just because one, I don't attract them anymore, and two, I'm single and I'm doing that to work on myself so that when I'm ready to date, I can actually go in properly and pick up the ones that are not trash.
The men are trash slogan or whatever is ridiculous in this form anyway, because it's the assumption that all the issues within a relationship or within any sort of courtship is attributed to the man. Like every issue there is because of the man, and the woman is this beautiful thing that's put on a pedestal that can't do anything wrong. That's madness. To me, that makes no sense whatsoever. And I was speaking to one of my friends, Tolu, and I was trying to explain to her the 80-20 rule. So I was like, okay, right now we live in a deregulated sexual market. Like it's deregulated. There are no laws. Everyone's running mad. Everyone's doing absolutely the most with anyone and everyone. because before it was regulated by family and also by we didn't have the pill, we didn't have contraceptions, so it's like you wouldn't have sex anyway randomly because you fall pregnant or you get someone pregnant. Do you see what I mean? There was a regulated market, like, and most of our partners used to be picked by the village and our families. That's how the sexual market was before. So it was regulated. So when you stripped away the regulations, it's like, okay, I can do whatever I want whenever I want. Do you see what I mean? And then it becomes like a scary place of just chaos. So I was trying to explain to her the 80-20 rule, which was that like 80% of women go for 20% of men. Because most women want high performing men, they want high value men, they want men of high sexual value, which is understandable because, like, obviously there's biological, there's sociological, there's economical reasons why you want the best at the best. You're not going to go for if you can potentially get the best. So what happens then is all the traffic gets directed to a small group of men who are dealing with a large group of women. So you got to understand, it just becomes a rotation for them. For the 20%. So if you're talking about trash men, you're not generally talking about the whole spectrum of men. You're talking about a small group of men. So to make it a statement as in it's covering all men makes no sense. And then to also assume that women are not trash or women are not doing bad. Because I always make a statement to some of my friends. I'm like, when a man fornicates, a woman is also fornicating. When a man is having sex, a woman is also having sex. If it's a heterosexual relationship. Do you see what I mean? So he's not doing it on his own. Exactly. so men are not out here cheating on their own. They're out here cheating with another woman who's also cheating. So the maths doesn't even make sense in the first place. But obviously, because women have always been put on this kind of like sexual pedestal, because they're the gatekeepers of sex and men are gatekeepers of marriages and relationships. It's just how the game works and it's just how the trade-off is. So the maths doesn't even make sense, and it further goes to create that divide that we were discussing earlier on. It's like, oh, now we're battling against each other. We really and truly know 80% are just battling against these 20%. There's a group of men out here who are really genuinely good, really genuinely hardworking, but you might not find their sexual value high enough for you to want to go for them. And then you leave them out of the discussion in the first place. And you're out there trashing the 20% or dealing with the 20% who are then now causing you issues. You know what I mean?
I get you. It's unfortunate, and I can't even lie. It hurts me to admit that women play a part in this.
Everyone's playing a part.
It's just like, ouch. I'm so used to like men, no men, it's all men. But no, women, we even have to change as well. And I think we have to look at the way that we date, because just being like a relationship coach and just looking at studying the way I dated as well, a lot of us are dating from a place of brokenness. Like what is love? Can you even define what love is for yourself? When I've discovered that when people say I love you, a lot of the times it's more like, nah, it's our brokenness connecting. We're connecting based on similar brokenness. It's not really love. And so, you know, you're saying, you're chasing these 20%, but you're not considering the guy who would be good for you, but maybe sexually they're not there or financially they're not there. But maybe if you actually stripped it all down and you actually healed yourself and learned what love is and learned what a healthy relationship or what a healthy marriage is, then you'd actually see that those 20% probably are not even worth it. It's okay to go down to the minority, like the majority, but
hardworking, genuine.
Exactly, But then because we have set this standard of, you know, he has to be popping, he has to be all of this, all of that. Meanwhile, you're broken yourself. That's why these 20% take advantage of you. Because they know it, they see you. It's easy to take advantage of you. Going back to what you said, you just rotate. It's all on a silver platter for you guys. And then it's all brokenness. Like when you're saying cheating, why people cheat, it's just brokenness expressed differently. Like men express their brokenness through relationships, sex, all of that. And then women, it's also, they express their brokenness through also relationships, guy after guy after guy, and then just trying to hold on to people that are not good for them. But if you would heal yourself, then you would realize that actually, let me rephrase that, if you would allow God to heal you, to clarify.
Then you see it from a better light. So when people come to you for like relationship advice, for instance, what would you tell them? So if they're like, oh yeah, I'm struggling out here with guys, like what's the first thing that you usually tell them?
Let's look at you, forget the guy. Like I had my cousin who was like, oh, there's this guy, you know, I'm not sure of that. And I was like, what do you even want a relationship to begin with? She was like, actually, I hadn't thought about that. Why are you giving this guy the power to dictate? First of all, what are your standards? That's what, this was me back in the day. I had zero standards. So I allowed any Tom, Dick, and Harry to do whatever he wanted with me, and a lot of us girls do that.
Yeah.
You see a guy, he's cute, you like him, he looks like he can offer sex or money or this influencer lifestyle, whatever you desire. So you go for it for him without even really actually like checking. Wait, what are my standards? Does he match them? Before I even go to personality, what are my standards? First of all, like, is he a Christian? And then before you even look at, is he a Christian or is he God-fearing? Are you even God-fearing yourself? Do you even have a relationship with God yourself before you go ask for a guy to give you that? So when it's relationships, I always say, let's talk about you first. How do you form relationships? How do you connect? What is love to you? What is your attachment style? What is the relationship with your parents like? What did they teach you about being a man, being a woman, about being in a relationship? And then why are you choosing the people that you choose? What are the relationship patterns? And what does that mean about you? And then how can you go about choosing the right partners for you? So my relationship coaching is actually nothing to do with who you're with. It's more yourself.
Which is the best place to always start. Like, it's always about cleaning your house first.
Exactly.
Before you go out there trying. And I think one of the things as well that kind of affects us now is like there's too many options now, and the options are close by and easily accessible. Whilst before technology, like, you would have to go somewhere actively in order to seek a partner. So then the pool of choice is smaller because you have to go to maybe like a little club or a bar somewhere. But now you can grab your phone and there's literally millions of girls and millions of guys with a click or a flick left or right, and you can connect with someone. Like, that causes a lot of confusion because then then things like hypergamy gets heightened because now it's like, oh wait, hold on, oh, this one's cute, but oh no, wait, I like this one's hair. Oh wait, this one's got the same hair, but she's got a cuter nose. Oh no, this one's got a cuter nose and she got cute feet. So it's like it becomes too much because I mean, I look at influencers sometimes, especially like the female ones, and I'm like, okay, this girl's single, but she's got 400,000 people following her. 80% are guys.
Yeah.
I'm sure her DMs is popping, but why is she single? Too many options.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
One day is a semi-pro footballer, the next day is a pro footballer, the next day is the owner of the football club, the next day is the owner of the football club's dad. So then it's like, where do you stop at? Do you see what I mean? Because like the levels keep on moving up and you're under the assumption that you need to always find something bigger and better. The grass will be supposedly green on the other side. And that option as well is hella confusing. And I get it, because even on a personal level, sometimes like when I'm looking, I'm always calculating or measuring up to previous or a potentially something better. It's coming along the way, and that can cause a lot of problems.
Definitely. But I agree with you, and I see the issue. But then again, it goes back to the individual. Like we're saying, why is she single? It's because what does she value? She values the followers, she values the influencer lifestyle, she values going out with rich men. And then once they're together, they realize, like, actually, we're all sexed out now. We've had sex enough times. There's nothing more to do between me and you. So, okay, screw it, I'll go find another man that will offer me the same thing. And screw it, another man that will offer me the same thing. And so it's like, what are you valuing beyond the likes, the influencers, the rich people? And I think it's very much to do with I'm very much focused on identity and individual, because 400,000 followers, but it's up to you how you allow them to run you. Essentially, it's up to you who you let in, who you let out, who you say no and yes to. So as much as I can have this huge platform, I have to understand my values, my standards, and then allow that to dictate everything else. Because in 50 years from now, there's probably going to be something new, bigger, better. And
it's going to be like... how was it, hologram?
Exactly.
Like, you be in your house,
so scary.
and all these babes are in front of you. You're like, oh, what do I do now? Like,
who's like that hologram stuff? I find that scary. But
it's so scary.
The goalposts will always be shifting. But if you know who you are and you remain strong in that, that's the main
values
thing.
Values are key. I mean, I think the most important part that I think I got from what you're saying is the value thing. And you obviously, being a Christian, getting your values from God is key, because it grounds you, it keeps you solid, and it's something that enables you to make solid decisions and stick by them and not be flimsy and just go with the flow. But when you don't have those values, whether it's from your household, whether it's from seeing relationship between your parents or like whoever raised you or your family members, then it becomes very difficult, because you don't have any solid values to go by, and then you're led into this world full of like options and different ideologies and beliefs and things get thrown at you, of course you're going to be confused, of course you're going to be out here just going crazy. But at the end of the day, like, if you really want to live life and do it properly and go by a way that doesn't end up putting you like traumatic situations, you got to remember that you got,
or even if you go through the traumatic situations, you know that you're able to come out stronger and better.
Yeah, most definitely. As I've been consuming your content, you've actually got a view which is quite similar to mine. So I used to, you have an interesting view on the law of attraction. We're going to touch base on that. So a couple of years back, I watched the documentary, The Secret. Yeah. And I was so gassed. I watched it. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to sit here and envision £1 billion and I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I don't know where the £1 billion is going to come from, but it's just going to turn up. And I was sold by it. I even bought the books for all my boys. I bought like about 6 copies. They're probably going to be laughing at this right now. I bought about 6 copies. I gave them the book. I was like, guys, like, you have to read this. Law of Attraction, The Secret. It's sick, it's sick, it's sick. But as I started reading more, becoming more of a critical thinker, I get the premise of it. It is fine-tuning your mind to be very direct and focus-driven towards what you want, but eventually you're gonna have to work towards it. Yep. So I was watching one of the videos and you said something. I was like, oh, this is the first time I've heard someone say something which is in line with what I've been thinking in regards to this law of attraction. So what was your thoughts so that the people can know what you think about the law of attraction? And can you explain the law of attraction first so they get it from your perspective?
Yeah, so essentially the law of attraction is whatever you want, whatever you desire in life, if you just think it, believe it, ask the universe for it, it is yours. Yeah. That's it. Done. I mean, some of them do say like, you have to do work, but they put a lot of emphasis. Think it, believe it, ask the universe. It's done. And so, it was a great idea, right? When you first listen to it, it's like,
I was sold. Was it, okay, so let me ask you, before we go into your, when you first watched it, what did you think?
I first watched it like years ago, and I was like, okay, like I was on it. I spent time.
Did you create a vision board?
You know, I had one. You spend time thinking about, dreaming about this life that you want, and then I rewatched it recently because I'd just been growing in my faith, and I rewatched it recently. And that's how I created that video. I was like, nah, this is not it. So there's this new age spiritualism of the universe, referring to the universe as God. Yes.
So before that's a super interesting part. So I realized that a lot of people are trying to lose their faith in God as a creator, or who don't like the idea of God. They now go into this whole thing about spirituality. And I get it. Like, okay, you might think religion is outdated, you might think God is outdated, but you're basically rebranding God. Exactly. Which is weird.
Yeah, exactly. We are actually deep down all looking for God.
Definitely.
Just going about it the different ways.
A trendy way which is acceptable. Because now saying you're a Christian or saying you believe in God is like, oh, you're one of them. You're from the Stone Ages. Like, oh, but you're spiritualist. You believe in the same. Oh, you believe in the universe. You believe in plants. Okay. You're basically creating that as your God.
Yeah, exactly. Even like being a life coach and starting to see like that industry is full of like healers, life coach healers, but it's all like crystals, Reiki.
It's all rebranding.
Exactly.
And wear this chain and like all evil energy is gonna like disappear from you. You're talking about the same demons in African churches where they're screaming and shouting, like dying.
The devil knows what he's doing, innit? That's why the Bible goes back to knowledge, like we perish for lack of knowledge. So it's like, first of all, the universe was created. So how can you look at it as God? You have to look at the person who created it. What does the universe know? You and I as human beings, we're more powerful than the universe. Like, besides God, we are the most powerful thing to ever exist on this earth. So how can you look to the universe, a creation, to give you what you want? And then what I realized is literally the Bible, it's just like twisted, just different words replaced. Instead of saying ask God, they'll say ask the universe. Or even
thank like the universe.
Even like believe. God says like pray and believe that you receive it. They say pray to the universe and believe that you receive it. And it talks about just think it, that's just visualize it. And like that's important, like thinking and visualizing, seeing it in your mind. Yes, it's important to have a vision, but then they just kind of say like that's where it ends. Like, just think it and it's yours. What I realized is it's all tied in with selfishness. If you want money, if you want a car, you want a big house, whatever you want to travel all over the world, whatever you want will come to pass. And it's like, where is the love thy neighbor in it? Where is the serve thy neighbor? Where does it come in? It's all about me, you, and no God at all, or even love for other people in it.
Yeah, is a strange one, and I fell into the trap for a while, for a solid while. Like, even in my parents' house, like where the room I was in, like my bed was like up against like a wardrobe, and then I had like everything stuck on the wall, like in terms of my vision board and stuff like that. And I was just like envisioning it very hard, like eyes closed, deeply envisioning it, hoping that it would just turn up. Like, I was on it. But the thing is, I've always been very self-motivated anyway. And what can happen is that sometimes when you're self-motivated and you achieve stuff, you can attribute it to that vision. And it's like, okay, now I've got a house, now I've got that which I envisioned for, but really and truly it was your work ethic. So I think if they were to twist that and be like, okay, find ways of empowering people to develop their work ethic and truly understand like how to go about achieving what they want to achieve by set goals and pushing for those goals and having day-to-day tasks that brings you closer to your goals, then that's completely different to just sitting at home and wishing for something to happen, because nothing's ever going to come of it if you're not going to go out there and put in the work.
Even the Bible calls you a fool if you're lazy and you're staying at home. So
definitely. What you got next coming up? What's next on your agenda for the end of this year and 2020? Like, what's your plans?
At the end of November, actually, I have a speaking engagement, which I'm really excited about, because it's specifically an event for people that have been sexually abused or those that support those that have been abused. If you just want to know what are the signs that someone has been abused. And this is probably, like, I would have to say, like, one of my favorite events ever, just because I needed that when I was a kid. I know, like, if there was such an event, if I knew of such an event, like, oh my gosh, it would have put me like miles ahead. And I just know how much it would mean to other people as well. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to. It's on the 30th of November.
Okay, where is it?
It's in Croydon. It's called Bear. The foundation is called Bear. And this particular
I'll put the details down in the description as well. Definitely.
Thank you. And then 2020, I'm spending December just trying to strategize for 2020, get more speaking engagements, get back on YouTube, regular YouTuber, and grow my life coaching business and go back to Zimbabwe as well to see all these children that we're blessing. And a part of Refine It Foundation is distributing pads, menstrual pads. So I want to go there and also do that. I want the first time we do it for me to actually be there. So that's one thing I'll be working on as well. Another thing I want to introduce is paying for counseling for people that have been sexually abused in Zimbabwe. Because in Zim, like, once you get paid, you're looking at rent and groceries and school fees, and then that's it. That's your money gone. But being around my family, where especially last year where I opened up about my struggles, and my family was able to see, like, oh wow, like, this trauma, mental health thing is a real and true thing, but they can't do nothing about it because they can't afford to. So I was like, okay, let me start an initiative where then Refine It Foundation sponsors their counselling, because I know how much they need it. So that's one of the things that I'll be working towards as well in terms of 2020.
Oh, amazing. Sanda, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I commend you for coming out and sharing your story, and I think you're an incredibly strong woman. You're stronger than I am, because if I was in that type of situation, I don't know how it would turn out. Do you know what I mean? And to see you blossom and shine and go out there and engage with people and tell them your story directly and encourage them to come out if they have similar stories, and finding ways of helping them heal is incredibly commendable. It's amazing, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. I mean, we're definitely going to catch up again. I always say that to all my guests, because I love keeping contact and love understanding and keeping track of their journey and where they go. In any way, means, shape or form that I can help, I'm always willing to help as well. I told you, I'm gonna sponsor the kids now. I'm definitely going on the website. So I'll definitely want you to send me the details regarding the website and the donation for all of that. I'm going to support you. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely catch up again. Yes. Boom. Wow. That was amazing. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I like how you do it. Like, you're so...